Welcome to our deep dive today. We're going to be
Fun.
looking at the book of Joshua,
I'm
chapter
trying.
2 specifically.
Sounds good.
Um, and I think this is one that, we've talked about this a little before.
Yes,
This is going to be a really interesting one, I think, for a lot of people
absolutely.
because it's got strategic planning, an unlikely hero, and a very daring escape.
You know what's so fascinating about this chapter is the way that it just brings all these themes together, like courage, faith, and strategic thinking
Right.
in a way that still resonates with us, even after all these years.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy to think about,
Thousands of years.
thousands of years later, and
It's so relevant.
it's still relevant.
Absolutely.
So we have the Israelites, led by Joshua.
Right.
They're ready to take the land of Canaan.
Mm-hmm.
Their first target is Jericho,
Yeah, Jericho.
which is a pretty formidable city. But Joshua doesn't just charge in.
Right.
He's got a plan.
Smart.
He sends 2 spies
Yeah.
to go in first.
It's like a scouting mission?
Yeah, assess the situation, gather some intel.
Get the lay of the land.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now, this is where things take an interesting turn.
Okay.
The spies end up at the house of Rahab,
Rahab.
who is described as a harlot, which, I got to admit, the first time I read that, I was like, what? Why is this guard?
Why her?
Yeah.
It's so unexpected.
Yeah, like, you don't really think of that being a
Yeah.
prominent figure in this kind of story.
It really makes you think about, where strength can come from,
Yeah.
where faith can come from,
It really does.
and how heroes can show up
Yes,
in the most unlikely of places.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, so the king finds out about these guys.
Right.
And he tells Rahab to hand them over, but she hides them
Oh.
from the king's soldiers.
That's a huge risk.
It's a big risk. Yeah, putting her own life on the line.
Yeah, what made her do that?
Well, that's what I was going to ask you about because, we don't know a whole lot about her,
Right.
but she had obviously heard stories about the Israelites
Mm-hmm.
and their God
Okay. Yeah.
and in his power.
And she believed them.
Yeah, so she's not just acting out of,
Yeah. Not just self-preservation.
just self-preservation or even blind loyalty.
Exactly. She really believes
Yeah, there's something there.
in the power of the Israelite God.
Yes, and that is what is driving her.
Yeah, and she acted on it too.
Yeah,
It wasn't just some, passive belief.
right.
She put her life on the line
Yeah.
for what she believed in.
Okay, so then how do the spies get out?
Okay, so she helps them escape from the city
Okay.
by lowering them down from her window with a rope.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was pretty daring.
With the soldiers looking for them.
Yeah, that's intense.
Yeah.
But she managed to pull it off.
So what about her? She stayed behind in Jericho, right?
Yeah, she did.
How did she survive when the Israelites came in?
Well, that's where the scarlet cord comes in.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that.
Right.
They made a bargain.
Okay.
She would hide the spies,
Uh-huh.
and they would protect her and her family.
When they attacked the city.
Exactly.
Okay.
And the signal would be this scarlet cord hanging from her window.
Wow. That's such a
Yeah.
powerful image.
It's a powerful image.
It's a scarlet cord.
It represents so much,
Courage, trust, redemption,
keeping promises.
promises. Yeah, it makes you think about the promises we make in
Absolutely.
our own lives.
Yeah.
And are we keeping them?
It's a good question to ask ourselves.
It really is.
Yeah.
So Rahab's act of faith,
Right.
it saved her family,
Mm-hmm.
but it had a huge impact on the Israelites too.
It did.
This is where we really start to see how one person's actions
Yeah.
can have these ripple effects
Absolutely.
that go way beyond
Yeah.
what they probably could imagine.
Exactly. I'd love to talk more about
Yeah.
how Rahab's story unfolds.
You too.
And what other lessons we can glean from her experience.
Yeah, I'm really curious to hear more about that.
Let's dive into that after a quick break.
Sounds good. We'll be right back with more on the remarkable story of Rahab.
And the fall of Jericho.
Don't go anywhere. So we were talking about Rahab hiding the spies and that bargain with the scarlet cord.
Right.
It's amazing how one person doing that one thing
Yeah.
really had such a big impact.
It shows you how much one person can do.
Yeah.
Even a small act can have huge ripple effects.
Rahab's faith saved her family,
Mm-hmm.
but it helped the Israelites too.
Absolutely. Her actions played a part
Yeah.
in their victory at Jericho.
And let's not forget Joshua.
Oh, yeah. He was a smart leader.
Yeah. Sending those spies in.
Yeah. Risky move.
It was risky, but it really paid off.
Knowledge is power, right?
Definitely.
He needed that info before attacking.
It's a good lesson for us, too.
Oh, absolutely.
No matter what you're doing.
Yeah, planning is key.
Planning is key.
Whether it's work or personal stuff.
Like starting a business.
Exactly.
Or even just like a relationship.
You got to think it through.
Yeah.
Take the time.
Don't just jump in.
No, you'll regret it.
So true.
Better to be prepared.
So back to Rahab.
Okay.
What happened after Jericho fell?
Well, the Israelites kept their word.
They did?
Yeah, they spared her and her family.
Because of the scarlet cord?
Yep. It was the sign.
Wow.
For their soldiers to pass over her house.
So she was saved.
She was.
Because of her faith.
It's a powerful story of redemption.
She was an outsider.
She was.
But they welcomed her in.
She became part of their community.
That's really inspiring.
It really is.
It makes you think about how we treat people who are different.
How inclusive are we?
Yeah. Are we giving second chances?
Important questions.
And forgiving people.
It's about looking beyond the surface.
Right. Seeing the good in everyone.
Rahab's story shows us that anyone can be part of something bigger.
No matter their past.
Exactly. Their background doesn't have to define them.
This is such a rich story.
It is. There's so much more to it.
I want to go deeper.
Me too. Let's explore more.
Yeah, what can we learn from Rahab?
About courage, faith, making tough choices.
All of that.
These lessons are still so relevant.
Yeah, for our lives today.
We'll get into that in our final segment.
Sounds good. Welcome back to our deep dive into the book of Joshua, chapter 2. We've been talking about Rahab and her story.
Yeah, it's amazing how her faith just shines through.
It really does. I mean, she could have just ignored everything.
Oh, yeah, totally.
And just gone along with what everyone else was doing.
It would have been so much easier.
Right. But she didn't. She really believed in something.
And she acted on it.
Yeah, she was willing to risk everything.
For what she believed in.
That takes guts.
It really does.
It makes me think about times when I've had to stand up for what I believe in, even when it was scary or I knew people wouldn't agree with me.
Yeah, those moments can be tough.
But seeing how much impact Rahab had, just from that one act of courage.
It really shows you the power of our choices.
It does, and it reminds me that we can all make a difference.
Absolutely.
No matter who we are or where we come from.
And don't forget the strategic side of things.
Yeah, Joshua's plan.
Yeah, sending those spies ahead of time.
That was smart.
He didn't just rush in blindly.
Right. He wanted to be prepared.
And that's something we can all learn from.
Definitely, like, before we make a big decision or start a new project.
It's worth taking the time to think things through.
To gather information.
Exactly.
So we can make the best choices.
And then there's the whole idea of redemption.
Rahab's story is such a powerful example of that.
It really is. She was an outcast.
Yeah.
But she found acceptance.
And not just acceptance.
Right. She became a part of their community.
And it all started with that one act of faith.
It's amazing to think about.
It really is.
How her life changed.
And how she impacted the lives of others.
That scarlet cord, you know, it's a symbol of so much more than just a promise.
It represents hope.
Hope for a better future.
Where everyone has a chance.
Yeah, a chance at a new beginning.
Rahab's story is so inspiring.
It really is.
It's a reminder that we all have the power to make a difference.
And that no matter what our past looks like,
there's always hope for a better future.
It's a message that's as relevant today as it was thousands of years ago.
That's the beauty of these stories.
Yeah, they speak to us across time.
And they challenge us to live better lives.
To be more courageous.
To have faith.
To think strategically.
And to never give up on the possibility of redemption.
Well said. I think that's a great place to wrap things up.
It is. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into Joshua chapter 2.
It was a pleasure exploring this story with you.
Me too. And thanks to all of you for listening. Keep exploring these stories and keep asking those tough questions. And until next time, keep diving deep.